like to acknowledge that we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations of Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And then we move on to adoption of the agenda. And we'll start with that. One of the things I would like to get rid of the vote on reports not selected for debate. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but most of the time those things don't take too long anyways. Just go through, especially on today's agenda, it's so short. Just go through all of the agenda items and go from there. Is there anything to add or delete? Seeing none, can I get a motion on this? Councillor Dunn?
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Okay, and we have no scheduled delegation, but we do have Chris on behalf of the beautification as a public delegation.
Okay, good evening to council. I gave you copies of two separate letters that we wrote. Just for the people listening in, the first letter was just advising council of a light update. We decided in the end to keep our traditional date of the last Friday in November, which falls on November 25th this year. God willing, no COVID restrictions and everything, we'll be back to normal, which I think we all hope. The second was I received an email from Mayor Panasek. Oh, I don't have a letter in front of me, April 25th, I think it was, asking me if beautification would be interested in entering Communities in Bloom contest. We had a meeting last Wednesday, we declined to take part for this year. But if the town proceeded, we may be able to help in some form. And the lack of our membership, and really not knowing the specifics of what may be involved without a lot of research was our reason. So if there's any questions from council, I'll take them.
All right, questions, anyone?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So what exactly is this Community in Bloom contest?
Okay, there's a Community in Blooms Canada, and then they branch off to Communities in Bloom Alberta. They hold two contests each year. One is for the summer, one is for winter holidays. The town used to enter both of them at various times years ago. Oh, it's got to be 5 to 10 years at least, I think, since we've entered them without looking at the exact numbers. Sometimes we got 3 blooms, sometimes 4 blooms. I don't know if there's anything in the lobby right now. There isn't, okay, can't remember, right? And you just enter it and it's a bragging rights competition type thing. And they appoint 2 judges, and they come to town and you tour them around, they look at it, and then they give you some advice on what you might be able to do a little bit better and whatnot. One thing alluded to in the letter, if you're a member, you are eligible to apply for grants.
So are you applying for a grant?
I just looked at it the other day before I wrote these letters. We'll bring it to our beautification meeting next month and decide what we want to do moving forward. So right now I don't know yes or no, but they definitely are available.
Great, anything else for Chris? Well, thanks for considering it. I know it's a lot of work and putting it in, and I know there's stuff that we do anyways, right, even without being in that competition. So appreciate what beautification does. What do you have planned for the summer?
Okay, on Thursday we're doing what Trish Long calls the Doogush Day. That's the planting of the flowers at McIntyre Park. I'm sure Trish has been in contact with either Brian Martinson, your CAO, or Mike Dempsey about pouring some water on them that day when they're planted.
Okay.
And we're doing the flower box at the end of the town on Wednesday, June the 8th, I believe, if my memory is not failing me. We'll be planting those again this year. And that's what we got planned right now. We do have to really implore upon our membership, we have to do a little bit better job in helping the town in weeding those boxes too. We have that big, beautiful, tall green plant that we spent the town last year. That may have put put two of our local stores in the middle of it. No, I'm just kidding. If you know what it was by now, it was one of those plants. But it was ironically, years ago in Fairview, they planted them in the planters at Hemstock Park in the middle of town, and they just grow like weeds, eh? So people do have a sense of humor, at least. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Somebody had about a 6 or 7 foot pot plant in there.
Okay, moving on then to 5.1, our minutes from May 10th. Can I get a motion on this one?
I'll move with the noted correction. That council approve the minutes from May 10th, 2022, with the amendment to change bylaw number 03, 2022 to bylaw number 10, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stenhouse?
I don't find the motion for the gun show.
I think that motion would have been the meeting before. At this particular meeting, we just discussed who would attend. There was the meeting before that we discussed if we were gonna put in a booth.
No, I didn't see it in April 10th.
Oh, we didn't see it in there?
No,
Or was it an official motion or just an ask for volunteers on that? It might have been just an informal ask.
no, I'm looking for the motion to rent a booth table at the gun show. The purchase of the table.
Go ahead. Councillor Martins?
So Councillor Stenhouse, you guys did that in camera, because I was never privy to it. The first time I heard about it was when Councillor Yushishin said, hey, are we doing, is there gonna be a table the day, whatever day that was, I don't remember, it was a week ago. So I was never privy to it, so that means that it was done in camera during one of your in-camera sessions, and you just lumped it in.
It doesn't fit the criteria for in-camera.
I'm aware, but I was not part of it, and I've been part of every meeting, so therefore it was not discussed at a regular council meeting. The first time I heard it was on the day after the gun club, Saturday, when council, or maybe it was before that, when Councillor Yushishin said, hey, are we doing, what time's tables? And I said, what, and so I said, no, I wasn't part of that meeting, which I've been part of all meetings, so you guys discussed it in camera.
Well, actually, I think if I remember right, we discussed it after the meeting where you had joined by Zoom. I think that was just an informal ask versus a formal motion.
Yeah, because it was not clarified where the money was coming from which account to sponsor the gun show.
And again, I'm not sure, Brian, but do you remember, I think because we had committed to the funds the year of COVID, that we had paid, they didn't host it, so there wasn't funds this year, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Do you know, Brian?
I don't know. I couldn't answer you that.
Okay.
I thought there was funds left over but they had carried them over.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It had been carried over from the years before when we had paid, but I could be wrong. That's just my recollection.
Can we get clarification on that?
Okay, so we'll get Brian to look into that. Okay, any other questions on the minutes? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? One opposed, okay. Moving on to business arising. Any business arising from the minutes? Anything else? None? Okay, moving on to 6.1, bylaw 1122. Get a motion on this one, please.
here. Council give first reading to bylaw 11/2022, amendment to fees bylaw this 24th day of May 2022.
Okay. Um, Maybe I'll turn it over to the CEO to just sort of highlight why it's coming in now.
When we were looking at the bylaw, there was a discrepancy in what we were charging the fees for the building permits for the housing building permits and the commercial building permits. And we went back into the records, back as far as we could go, and the building permit fees were $5, and that's what typically the development officer has been charging all along. The commercial construction value is at $4. So if you look at the example that we had the lines in crossed out on page 14, the example 2, there's no way that you'd ever have a house for $1.6 million built in High Prairie. Or I guess you could, but there's very small chance of that, so that's what kind of got our attention to it then. So we just incorporated it, made it a little bit clearer. Rita looked around and she found some fees that were charged by other municipalities within our area, and were very comparable, even perhaps a little bit under than what other municipalities are charging. So if council wants to look at possibly setting some new fees later on, that's another way to generate a little bit more income. It's just better clarification for the development officer and for the people who are coming in to pick up the permits. So that's the reason.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, in the previous bylaw that was approved in December of 2021, the codes just weren't clear, is what you're saying, like the charges weren't clear?
Yes, in there, if you look on page 14 again, they were charging $4 for all the construction value for both residential and commercial. So,
Oh, okay.
and in the binder that the development officer has, it's $5 that we've been charging for building permits. So, and now it's outlined within the fees bylaw, so there's just
Okay, just,
better clarification for.
yeah, just for our purposes, your copy has page
Yeah,
numbers.
I don't have to.
Mine doesn't have page numbers, so it leaves
No.
us a little.
It's on the page with the
Lines two.
Oh, okay.
lines.
In the middle, yeah, aligns to it. Schedule A document.
Yeah.
Number 6.
So in a nutshell, we're going from 4 to 5% across the board.
$5.
$4 to $5 for building 1,000.
Okay.
Go ahead.
For both residential and commercial, I thought commercial was in the state for, are you changing?
Commercial state is 4, that's what we've been charging all along. And we've been charging $5 for residential, but the fees bylaw didn't have that outlined as a $5 fee, so we just, it was an oversight someplace. We went back into the fees bylaw, and they were always like this, it was never ever set out in black and white, so it's clearer now for everybody.
So these are the fees that we've been charging for a while,
Yes.
but we're just making it
Amended-
clear
amended the
in the
bylaw.
bylaw, so it's clear.
So it would reflect the $5 residential building construction fees.
Okay. Any other questions on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But this is more, I guess this would be for the bylaw. So it says new construction, garage, addition, renovation.
Since when do we pull a permit for renovations?
Whenever it's structural, you're increasing the value of your property, so then the assessor would take the building permits and look at them, and if he wanted to, he'd contact you and go in and see. If you had an unfinished basement, obviously that's gonna increase the value. If you had just a raw basement and then you finished it off, you're probably up in your value of your house by, it's hard to say, depends on the fixtures and how much. you do.
So the renovation, I guess I didn't have, the renovation is only to the structure of it.
If I decide to rip out my cupboards and put new cupboards in, I don't need a
No.
permit.
No.
All right, any other questions on this? I'm just gonna add a comment, not a question on it, but this, it goes back, I'm gonna say a little bit of time now, but had the question of somebody that says, well, if you improve your home or your business and you get a permit, you increase the value of your property and then you pay more tax. But what do we do with those people that don't improve their building or their home and, you know, it looks run down? What's the incentive to get those ones put up? There seems to be a,
Imbalance.
yeah, and it was a good point. I don't know how you sort of work around it, but I know this is not unusual to have these fees, but it's a point worth considering. If somebody has a great idea on that, we could certainly look at it. Councillor Martins?
Not an idea, but we had it wasn't a nuisance bylaw, but it was something to that, it's architectural guidelines. A lot of communities, some communities have that, could we not, something like that, in that defines, you know, exterior. But then enforcement was our big problem. We had that in, the CAO was on the hook for enforcement, and that's always touchy, because, you know, everyone might, and knock on a door, and, but, you know, we can get Alex knock on the door.
And it is very subjective, what's
Yes.
pretty, what's not, what's
It's
the
very specific, like, you know,
Yeah. unsightly.
Yes.
Yeah, we do have an unsightly bylaw, and I know that they use that when it gets too run down, but it's, again, it's, when is it too run down to charge and stuff? Just-
But we should really look into that. The bylaw committee should, you know,
if they-
look into things like that and.
Yeah, it was just a comment that's, you
It's
know,
true,
a resident made to me a while ago, and I went, yeah, you know what? Can't argue that, that's a good point. I just don't have the, they didn't have a great answer for it either, but. And the intent of this especially is, like I said, to notify the assessor so that it's being taxed accordingly. And to make sure it's being done properly, with safety codes and all of that kind of stuff too. All right, any other comments on this? All right, seeing this, we had the motion to give first reading. All in favor? Carried. We'll go to second reading. Councillor Dunn.
The council gives second reading to bylaw 11-2022, amendment to fees bylaw this 24th day of May 2022.
All right, any questions before we vote, comments? All in favor? Carried. Anybody else want to bring that through? Councillor Yashishin?
The council gives unanimous consent to proceed to third and final reading to bylaw 11, amendment to the fees bylaw this 24th day of May 2022.
All right. All in favor? Okay, and it's unanimous. So we can move to the final reading. Does anybody want to bring that one?
As long as it's quiet.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Martins.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 11-2022, amendment to these bylaw this 24th day of May 2022.
All in favor? Carried.
recognized as Citizen of the Year for 2021 based on his nomination and years of service to the community.
All right. Any discussion on this? We talked about it last meeting. Seeing none, all in favor? Donna, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I
Yeah, you
did.
did. It was quick, that's why I
Oh.
wasn't sure. It almost looked like you were flipping the page. I wasn't sure if it was a hand up or a page.
No.
Multitasking,
Yeah,
doing both.
yes. Well, I just wanted to check, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 8.2, Seniors Week. Councillor Dunn.
The council proclaiming June 6th to 10th, 2022 Seniors Week in High Prairie, and to host a barbecue for seniors in the Sports Palace parking lot on Friday, June 10th, 2022, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Danaka.
What I'm looking at is I'm looking at the source of funding, and unless I'm adding it up wrong, it's got the balanced used of 34,250, and when I add everything up, I get a balanced used of 34,700, which leaves us an unused balance of 4,300, not $750.
Oh, yeah, it would be. Somebody math drawing.
I did it like 3 times. It is right. It's the 4,000 in and out that.
So the one in,
If you take the original amount of 39, it's reduced by
Okay,
4,000, right?
right, but we agreed to leave that 4,000 in there, even though we decreased stars by 4,000.
And stars is reflected in there at 4,000.
but the one in brackets is an increase to the, right?
No,
It's a decrease.
it's decreased.
I got, Brian, I just added it up. I got the 34.7 with the numbers that are on there.
With the numbers that are on there, I get 34,700, not 34,250.
But did you start at 39 or 30?
I just added the numbers.
No, but start over here and start at 35 here. Instead of 39.
But this is what I did, right? Was I just added up everything that we donated to, and this is the number that it comes to the 34.7.
I don't understand this either. We were at 0 last meeting.
Well, that's what because I thought that the last meeting, because
It's
we
like the
adjusted
450
our,
hasn't been reflected in
we
the balance
adjusted
used.
our,
Like the 450 for the
sponsorship
watershed count?
of the golf
That's not
course,
reflected in the balance used.
so we
That
had a
accounts
zero balance.
Exactly,
for the-
yeah.
No, we went down, there was still a little bit left because of the packages, the sponsorship packages went from 1,500 to 1,200. Then we weren't using it all when we dropped down. 1,500 just took us over by like $50 or something. And then this, because we dropped down below the exact amount.
So what's left in the
Yeah.
account? $50?
I can't remember exactly, but what were the 2 sponsorship packages? That was 1,500 and 1,200, was that what it
Well, we
was?
went with
No, no.
1,500 for the Caesar and the
That's in there.
Shrimp and Caesars was
Yeah.
1,500, and then we had 450 that wasn't accounted for in there. So James adjusted that amendment, because 2,000 would have put us over, so
It was
1,500 gave us a zero balance, from what I remember, correct? That's what you
That
remember?
is right, and it's in the previous minutes, 8.3.1. But we still haven't accounted for the gun show either.
That was the gun show was,
Paid
last year's budget, because we already paid for that last year, but they didn't have it because of COVID, so they carried that payment over. So that was paid out of last year's sponsorship, not this year's.
But you don't know that. We're gonna
Well,
get
we're gonna get
confirmation on
clarification.
it.
I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is our balance in this sponsorship fund.
Councillor Martins?
So one other thing I'm not seeing on here is we did a sponsorship to the Elks. Remember that swim pass? That's not on here. I see
No.
the Elks. No, it isn't. I only see one. I see the Elks Pro Rodeo, which was the first one we did. I don't see the second one. So just so you know, there might be, that was a, what did we say, $1,000 swim pass,
For
some other
the,
knickknacks.
Yeah,
right, for the
Remember?
Gord
Yeah.
Bamford concert
That's
or whatever.
exactly right.
Right.
So that is a good, very, very good catch there, because yeah, where was that one?
Because according to this, it cost us $1,500 to hold that barbecue, so I'm just wondering what's our balance to use if we're going to fund the cost of the barbecue? Is what I'm asking.
I run the numbers, because I wasn't sure about the numbers that Rita had given me,
Yeah,
and it did work out to the $750 that was left in that account. She had made a mistake the last time she brought it to council and said that we were short when we sponsored the Big Lakes Golf charity tournament. There was only supposed to have been like a couple $100 left in that account. I can't remember the exact number, but
Councillor Martins?
Well, but now we have, if we're in a deficit, we're minus 250, if these numbers are accurate. Because we haven't accounted for $1,000, right?
I don't, these are the numbers Rita gave me, so.
Okay, so yeah, there's another good cause for something. You know, do we want to do it? We're not sure where the funds are. It's something that we have done before. But I mean, we can,
I didn't start at
we're
35.
not sure. We could be over already, or we could have, like as Donna says, we may have 350 left. Or it might be 750, or it might be in the hole.
it might be a minus, I don't
That's
know.
what I know, we're not really
I
sure.
don't know, so,
And this is one that we really have to make a decision on now because of the time on it. There's going
Yes.
to be time to nail it down. And so, how do we want to proceed with this one? If we're not 100% sure.
I mean, there's value in that,
300.
you know, for
So
the town
this
posting
number
that,
was
because it's always
Yeah,
well
always does.
attended by
300 plus 450,
seniors and their
yeah.
families and, you know, just show appreciation. I just want to know.
it was well attended pre-COVID, but COVID has changed everything and how people,
That's true.
and if I recall, from the last council, when we had it, there was, because I did the calculations on it, that there was only approximately 30 seniors that showed up, and we had bought a ridiculous amount of burgers and buns, and it ended up being like $26 a burger when you figured it out for what we spent and how many people showed up, because if it's windy or cold, they don't want to go outside.
Yep, go ahead.
Councilor Stenhouse, where was that barbecue held? Was that just out?
Yeah, when they had the tent outside, not a tent, but a thing.
That's gotta be like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that was quite a
Ken
few.
Melick was here then, he was
Yeah.
fire chief then.
Yeah, and the attendance was very, very low.
I thought we had between 100 and around 130 some
No,
seniors.
No, it was a cold summer that time, and it was too cold, and not very many people showed up. We don't have to have a barbecue, we can maybe come up with something else to fit our budget.
Yeah. What are you suggesting?
Mm,
It says here we had 136 attendees,
And what year was that?
2019.
Oh, in 2019 was the last one. Well, that might have been one before that or something,
Yeah.
because it does depend a little bit on the weather.
It does, yeah. The one you're talking about was in J.C. Park, that's the one, but
I never attended one in J.C. Park.
yeah, we had a barbecue in J.C. Park.
The
We were all flipping burgers there.
recreation board.
The rec board held that one in J.C. Park, and
This is
The
the only.
one
But that was for seniors week, that one in J.C. Park.
yeah, and it was very well attended.
Yeah, that one was,
Yeah,
yeah.
but then, yeah,
And typically what they did is they would budget for that, and they didn't budget for, I talked to Ramona,
Yeah.
she said they didn't budget for seniors week this year.
okay, so again, we've got a good cause, but we probably, money-wise, we're not sure what we have left in that budget, right?
Well, nothing really,
Yeah,
not enough, sorry. There's not enough in there to do the barbecue properly,
No,
it's just not.
is there any other suggestions what we could do for Seniors Week to recognize our
I'll
seniors?
bring it back to council for the next meeting.
But this has
This
got
will
to
be
be on
passed.
June 6th, right? Yeah, this is,
but I have a little suggestion. On Monday, I have an FCSS meeting. And FCSS is big on putting on stuff like that. If I could get maybe some suggestions from FCSS, and maybe I could, and get a price or what, and we could maybe sponsor something through the FCSS.
well, I'm just looking at the RFD, and on Monday, FCSS has a wellness fair at the Legion from 11 to 3. So it looks like they're already doing
That's
something.
where we got that list from FCSS.
Yeah. So they are doing something
That
on,
makes no sense, because I have a meeting booked for 10 o'clock then for FCSS.
on that same date? Are you talking?
May
next-
30th.
Okay, this is gonna be on June 7th.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, on Monday, this coming Monday,
Yes.
is an FCSS meeting. And they're the ones who do all this stuff.
Yeah, but this list of activities, according to Mr. Martinson, came from FCSS. They've gathered all the activities that are being planned for Seniors Week and put them down.
They haven't advertised that we're hosting a barbecue yet, but
Yeah, that's just,
I'll have to let them know.
yeah, just come to hang on here.
And the estimated cost to do this is $1,500.
Well, that was the cost in 2019, and
Yeah.
I can guarantee that the cost of everything's gone up. I see it every week when we get our invoices at work, so.
Now, just one question, that's not $1,500 in food, that's probably having somebody cater it, or
No.
was
That
that?
that was catered.
That was catered versus having food. Like, if we were to do it for just food and have staff do it, but it would probably be, I don't know.
No,
if that would-
it's too hard now, because you have to have your food handler's course, and you have to have all kinds of things, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, any other solutions to this? Any other activities we can do for Seniors Week? Seeing none, okay. Well, we did have the motion to proclaim the seniors week and to do the barbecue, but I'm hearing the barbecue is not going to likely work without the money. And I forget who made this motion, Councillor Dunn?
Just do a friendly
Do you
amendment.
want to do a friendly amendment?
On the barbecue. Friendly
Or you
amendment.
want to
take
see
barbecue.
how it would go around and,
Yeah, I don't know how we want to amend it though.
well, it would be,
Just
all
make
you
it,
could do is
remove the barbecue.
proclaim the June 6th to 10th, but no barbecue.
Without a barbecue.
It would be option number 2 on that page.
I will amend my motion to, that council proclaim June 6th to 10th, 2022 Seniors Week in High Prairie.
All right, thank you. All in favor? All right. So moving on then to item 8.3, Alberta Rural Health Week. Councillor Dinac.
I make a motion that council proclaim May 30th to June 3rd, 2022 as Alberta Rural Health Week in High Prairie.
All right. Questions or comments on this one? Okay.
And administration advertise on our sign. Would you add that to your motion?
I just assumed that's what they would do. If we're making a proclamation, it's always advertised on the electric sign.
We can never assume anything.
I mean, if it makes you feel more confident, I'll add to my motion to be advertised on the electronic sign and our website
And Facebook page.
and Facebook page.
All right, any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? Carry it. And we are now at our CAO's report and action list. Get a motion on this one? Councillor Martinez? I saw your hand, like, that's high enough for me.
I move to receive the CAO, interim CAO's report for information. Oh, by Martinson, I should add the name.
Okay, turn it over to you, Brian.
As you can see, we cleared up some of the motions. If council wants to have a look at that. And I got a call from Green for Life, and they did reimburse us for the time that from the time that the bins were removed, so
Oh, they did?
they did, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Only 3 months.
Only
Yeah.
3
Only
months.
3 months.
We wanted a year
But it's
refund.
still, and going forward, they're invoicing us for 13 bins instead of 17, so.
So one of the things that Rod had brought up that day was, you know, we have a contract, were they gonna let us out of the contract? Which is when I said, not only are they gonna let us out of our contract, but let's go back. So did they let us out of our contract?
No, we're still have the contract.
But they won't bill us going forward for glass, for, you know.
The gentleman I talked to was hoping that glass would come back into the,
If it comes back or not, they're still putting in the dump. There's so much. Go look at the Fifth Estate. Recycling is not happening. So they were gonna let us out of our contract. So there were 2 things. I don't know if anyone else recalls. Am I the only one that recalls this?
No, I recall that.
3 months. I mean, when the gentleman who did the Zoom admitted to us that, so why didn't he inform us proactively? Like, it makes no sense that they were charging us for something that,
They had the glass bins for over a year, and they weren't recycling.
Oh, I think it's been a lot longer than a year that glass hasn't been recycled for, even when I was on council in the olden days. The recycling guys are saying, glass is nothing. You know, it'll get ground down into sand and used as fill and nothing else, but we're not gonna get out of the contract with the company, I don't think, but, as long as they're not charging us for the glass bins, then, maybe we can get them to sponsor the barbecue.
There you go.
I love that idea, I love that idea, that's, Brian, you say, 1,500, they're getting off easy here, 3 months, they owe us way more, tell them sponsor, tell them as an appreciation for glass recycling, it's for seniors, I mean, who doesn't like seniors? Do it, Brian. Great idea, James. No, you're laughing.
Push it.
All they can say is no.
All they can say is no if you ask them. Doesn't hurt to ask.
I'll phone them.
We have, they refunded 3 months, that was money that we didn't have coming in. We could possibly use that 3 months of rent to fund the barbecue. I don't know, how much was 3 months?
Let's see if we
No.
can shame them into
Right.
funding the
No,
barbecue.
don't muddy the water.
Well, no, the reason I'm saying this is that, because we gotta let them know pretty quick for whether or not they're gonna advertise for a barbecue from the town. That's why I'm saying, if we know we've got this much in hand, the rest of it we don't know. I'm still saying go for more, but we don't know if we're gonna get more, but we know we've got this much.
Put the
And how much
pressure
is
on.
this much?
Yeah, how much is 3
Yeah.
months?
How much is this much for 3 months?
I don't know what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not
Put
sure
the
what it is.
pressure on, say council's not accepting that, they want a refund ever since this went downhill, or here's an idea, how about you sponsor the seniors barbecue?
I think they jump at that,
Yes.
because it looks good for them, and it costs them way less than giving us the whole year back.
Okay,
Can we contact them?
Yeah.
well, we can make a motion at the end of your report and we'll get it in there. Yep. It's a good idea. All right, any other questions, comments for the CAO? Councilor Martins.
So, just clarification, because the motion 397, I know you did the letter of intent, what was that original thing that Councillor Courtney, I think, what was that? Can you explain?
The mayor and the previous CEO signed the letter of intent.
That was for, what's the name? Fiber people, was it not?
The what?
The
Sorry.
fiber people, Canada Fiber, that was the letter of
Yes,
intent with
yes.
Canada Fiber, was
Yeah.
it not?
Yes.
Canadian Fiber Optics.
And speaking of Canadian Fiber Optics, before Rod left, did we hear from them as to where we are on that, as far as proceeding?
Well, it's funny you should ask that,
Uh-huh.
because it was the exact same question that I had asked today too.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just, where are we at with that? And Brian hasn't received anything more other than you got an email on April 21st or
Yeah,
something?
I think I made a copy of yours.
Basically saying, you know, they're still hopeful. There was no word on the UBF funds, and that they're still optimistic that they're gonna come to High Prairie to lay some fiber, but that was it. And Jody had her baby.
Oh,
So,
okay, I didn't know, I
yeah, the
didn't know
gal
she
was
was
there. So,
having a baby.
yeah, so that was the update a month ago.
So basically, we're no further ahead than we were 3 years ago with these guys.
Well, yeah,
Other
we
than-
do need to follow up a little again and see if something's changed in a month, because the UBF fund, I don't know when they're making their announcement. They hadn't made any announcement in April, so maybe there's something coming soon. So, and that, and the fact that they didn't commit entirely, but we're hopeful that they could come into town. So we need to keep the pressure on them to make it happen. Councillor Stenhouse?
Not to take you off Canadian fiber because I have questions about that, but this one is bothering me. It's the the fourth one down, moved by Mayor Panasic that council set up a meeting with AHS, Health Minister, MLA, and High Prairie Clinic. What's the meeting about?
It's kind of a moot point now.
Yeah, that was to meet with, when it was regarding the High Prairie Medical, or the High Prairie Clinic, Dr. Laughlin's clinic. And we did get the meeting to, not with who did we talk to after that? Was it the minister or AHS? And they
It's
didn't-
always AHS running the agenda,
Yeah.
it's never the minister or us.
Yeah, and I know I did speak with our MLA for sure on that. But I don't know what happened with the minister one on that. Yeah, we didn't have the minister in on that. Or when we talked with the minister, was that the same after this motion or a different one? Because I know we didn't have them all in one room, but we talked to them all at different times separately, right? That was-
Well, I attended I attended every meeting, and I do not recall the health minister being there. It was always, the agenda was always run by AHS. They were telling us what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we did have a meeting with the Minister of Health when, I can't remember the exact date, and it was brought up, but that's basically it, right? They were gonna look into it in AHS and nothing really happened, and we didn't keep on it.
So does this stay on the to-do list, or is it removed?
Well, I think,
We'll remove it now.
yeah, we can probably remove it, because the High Prairie Medical Clinic, we can't get them to a meeting. We still have some key issues to deal with health on, but not with the High Prairie Medical Clinic.
But we still, I don't know, I don't have enough information on this. We still could fight to have another clinic in town, even though, like, we refer to it as Dr. Laughlin's clinic, but
Well, any doctor can open up another clinic. We need to talk to a doctor if they want to open up another clinic. There's nothing stopping them from coming into town and putting in another clinic.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, okay. What is it?
AHS.
Yeah.
In what way?
In the same way that they've stonewalled
Yeah.
Dr. Laughlin for the last decade.
But if you talk to AHS, they will tell you that any doctor can come here and open up a clinic if
Yes.
they wish.
Absolutely, they'll tell you that.
Yeah, of
And they'll also tell you that any doctor could have worked over at Dr. Laughlin's clinic, and any doctor that was given a tour of High Prairie was also told about their clinic. But if they were told about it, it was like, oh yeah, and there's some guy over here, he's got a, it's kind of,
And they got to tour Dr. Laughlin's clinic and get to talk to them all in the last while. We did get that, and believe me, I'm not trying to defend AHS, but what I guess I'm getting at is we can say that we want to be able to get another medical clinic here, but they don't have the control over that. They can't bring in a doctor that's gonna bring a clinic here. That's, if a doctor comes to this community and they wanna put in a clinic, they will, or they can. And then if they run into difficulties, then we can try and lobby some more, but I don't think we're gonna, if we have a meeting and talk to them, they're gonna say, anybody, any doctor can come in here and start a clinic. They do it in other communities, they can do it.
the thing is they threw up so many roadblocks for Dr. Laughlin.
I agree,
You
I
know.
agree. No, but I don't know how we could what we're gonna say to AHS other than them saying, no, we're not holding anything in the way, and what are we gonna say? Well, you are. Well, what are we doing to prevent somebody coming in? We've
That's
got
when we
nothing.
have Judy Johnson with us at the table, and then we just sit back and watch her tear them apart, because she's a little bit upset about how this has all gone down.
Not
As-
only upset, but has the facts of what went down.
Absolutely, yeah, that's, you know, I don't know, I mean, I think that it's not impossible, I don't think, to revive Dr. Glocken's clinic. We need to keep fighting. I mean, I've been waiting 7 weeks to see a doctor. I finally get to go on Friday. 7 weeks just to go see a doctor.
So this is good stuff to present, that we need another clinic.
I don't know.
Or more doctors, and they know we need more doctors. And we can't, I mean, they're not going to, they're gonna say, if you wanna have another clinic, I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna tell you. If you want another clinic, you get a doctor that wants to put in a clinic, we're all for it.
I know, but I'm saying,
We can say
we
want
can
more
take a
doctors.
stand and fight for what's right here. We know what they're doing, and we can take a stand and say, no, we need another clinic, and we will support any doctor and we will fight for them and support them who wants to take over that clinic.
If you had a doctor that was interested and they were holding them up, I would be all over it. But without a doctor, sorry, John,
They,
go ahead.
they did have a doctor that, and they created all kinds of barriers for him, and he's now in high level. So that's an issue, right? He was a good doctor, and it irritates me to no end that he had to leave because AHS created barriers for him to operate here, but he can go to high level and operate.
You know, with Dr. DeToit,
Yeah.
who you're referring to, I mean, I talked to him personally about this issue before he was gone. And he said, you know, this is AHS's stance, and this is what, you know, why I'm moving is because AHS is saying, I can get hospital privileges here. They offered him hospital privileges. He told me that himself. And they would offer him hospital privileges, providing he stayed here for, I think he could get 6 weeks off in a year. Anything more than that, then he had to have somebody covering for him. He wanted to be gone for 6 months and going back to South Africa. And because of that, he was also given the option to do what he's doing in high level of finding somebody that would do a job share in this community, and they could split that position half and half, and they could get the same situation as in high level. He could not find a doctor that wanted to share a position. So it just so happened at that time, there was 2 doctors in high level that were sharing a position in exactly what he wanted. One of those doctors retired. That left 1 doctor looking for somebody else to do this with. He opted for that position because he wanted to spend 6 months in South Africa, and this would allow him to do it. So, yeah, you know, he was given the opportunity, and AHS sort of held to their guns on that one, and they followed what they had said. It wasn't that he couldn't get hospital privileges. He could have, but then he had to stay longer. And the argument from me, from my point of view, is that I would rather have a doctor here for 6 months than not at all. So AHS's policies, when it comes to rural, are not adequate. They're fine if you're in a big city where you can get more people, but in small rural, you need to be a little more flexible. So that to me is more of an argument that you give some more flexibility to the rurals, because the policy, I think, was made more for the urbans.
But that's just one example. They recruited doctors after that who were blocked.
And we argued each and every one of them, and we know what the outcome was, right? Like how many times have we got, and I'm not and if council wants to go there, we can. I'm just saying that we have been down that road lots. And unless we had something really concrete, we know what we're gonna get as an outcome. I'd rather wait until we had a concrete issue. I mean, going to see them about making sure we get more doctors here, because we've gotta wait 7 weeks. I'm all over that. And I know we've got the other doctor that's coming. We had the one doctor that was here and now he's not here. You know, we need more doctors in this community. That, I'm all for supporting and getting that out there again. Even though, you know, they're gonna say, well, we're recruiting, we'll try, but if we keep on that, I'm really happy to pursue that one. But to say we want a clinic here, another private clinic, I just don't see it. But that's my opinion only. Councillor Martins.
Okay, so as you guys were all talking, all fantastic points, and this has happened repeatedly for the last 3 meetings that we've had with the AHS. We have, I said this either the last meeting or the meeting before that, we need to really take all of these points, aggregate them, put a plan together, and I don't know if we do it at committee of the whole, but we need to do multiple things. It has to be a multi-pronged approach of, hey, let's get some assurances, let's get the right people at the table, let's have a contact for when we're going to the minister and with what. If we do these piecemeal things, it doesn't have weight, but if we aggregate everything together and come to them with an actual plan of, you know, of what we want, some of the steps, some of the obstacles that they need to remove, assurances that they will do it, it's so much more solid. We've done nothing but let them maneuver and bring us to the table. It's like the tail wagging the dog. We've never been in charge of that process, which is why I said, let's put a plan to how we're going to advocate with AHS, and there's multiple things on that plan. They've been saying since 2018, 20% short. I've heard the same thing from Dr. Muir, how many times? 3 in the last 6 months. So let's just bring all the players to the table. Let's do it at committee of the whole. Let's put that on the agenda.
Yeah, is that not on our strategic plan, health? I think that was one of our.
Maybe, but we don't have a
It's
plan.
the advocacy for health for sure is, yeah.
And bring a proposal or a plan to
Yeah.
the table for the 27th. Let's look at it. Let's add, revise, but we need to get that on a piece of paper, right?
Maybe we get somebody sitting on the Lesser Slave Lake Health Advisory Council. They are right now recruiting for volunteers. So I don't know if somebody from our council wants to put their name forward and try to get on there.
No, that's a good suggestion, or somebody from our community. Maybe Judy. That would be
Johnson?
interesting.
Judy Johnson? Yeah.
As entertaining as that would be, I don't think they would accept her.
All right, so we were discussing the agenda item, or the motion from before, and what we would like to see done with it, and we got a little bit sidetracked there. But I think we did have a motion that we meet with all of them, but I think because we've met with parts of them and High Prairie Medical Clinic doesn't exist, I think we can mark that one as completed for now. And then as Councillor Martin says, we need to make a plan on what are our key asks and make sure we keep advocating for our health in this region. Have that plan, bigger plan. Okay, anything else on this? Councilor Martin?
It's not on AHS, but, Brian Martinson, I understood the letter of intent for Canadian broadband or Canadian fiber, but I don't understand what the update is for this particular, is the update that just, the letter was signed in January, or is there an update? That's what I was curious about.
I believe you guys signed it last year, wasn't
No.
it? In December of
Yes, we did
of
sign a letter of
2021?
intent.
I think that's when the letter was signed.
Yeah, actually, I think, yeah, it was signed quite a while ago. I think it was pre-election, so it would have been around this time. And it would have been in October, I think, that we signed it. This has never been marked off. Yeah. The other thing, just a question for you. I see that a lot of the streets, the street sweeper's been out. It looks really good, but other streets have maybe just been done once, not twice, and then I haven't seen the street sweeper going. What's happening with that? Because there's still some streets that.
He was out today, went down for a bit, but I see he was back out again today, so.
Oh, okay. They're still getting out there?
Yeah.
Good. Because there's still a couple of streets that are lots of debris on it, and I'm sure that's an ongoing process to keep that machine going, because there's always streets that need to be swept.
They swept the one behind the old hospital, and then they started hauling some debris out.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell whether it had been swept because they tracked the mud and that all the way back out again, so.
Okay.
Just a point on that, isn't that something that the contractor would have to ultimately be responsible for, cleaning up their own crap, including stuff that they track off-site?
No.
No?
Well, how do you explain UFA, bulk station,
Well, I mean,
and, you know?
I mean, this is a deconstruction site where, I don't know, it's just a thought.
It's not worth the hassle. We just go and sweep it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know what AHS built into their contract. You know, whether they built it into that to clean the streets or not.
We should ask them, I'm sure they're forthcoming with information.
Yeah.
Dr. Muir would like to answer
Reasonable.
that.
Okay, anything else on the report? Oh.
I'll just let council know that since we made this up, Deanna Bedard has been in, picked up the latest copy of the report.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The committee that you guys appointed James to sit on, the economic development.
the rural renewable.
Yes. So she took that plan and she's gonna go through it and see what they need.
Okay, has the application been made for that program yet? Or
No, they're
not yet?
still.
Still putting the
that was part of
pieces
it, yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that the same thing that's gonna go on Triangle on Thursday?
No,
No, it's totally different?
yeah. I think what she said is that they were getting West Fraser on board now also to, with a list of Tolco and whoever the other businesses that were Tomato Boy and
Cox contracting.
Cox Contracting. yeah.
There's others here too.
Yeah, so that's what she's working on. So
okay, good.
just to give you a heads up over it's that.
Oh, that's good. All right, I see no other questions. We had a motion to receive the report for information. All in favor? Good. Moving on then to council's written and verbal reports. Councilor Daneka.
Other than the meetings that the rest of council has been a part of, had a regular meeting of the museum. Just a couple of things, the museum is looking at partnering with the library to host something for Alberta Culture Days, pending if they get the grant or not. The other thing is that Darlene's been working on the Royal Purple exhibit in T. It's celebrating their history. It's Saturday, June 4th, 1 to 4. Letter of invite will probably be sent either to yourself to send out to all the councilors or individually to all the councilors to attend. The other issue that came up is the repairs to the museum. Darlene's looking at how the town wants to proceed. She was dealing with Rod on these. She did speak with, I believe, the treasurer, and Mike Denty basically said that costs have dramatically increased. Mike's suggestion was to wait for the construction prices to stabilize. Currently, the building has no leaks. There is the CFEP grant that could be applied. The next intake is September. The small stream is for $125,000. The large stream, its deadline is June 15th. Is 125 to 1 million. The catch with these is that the CFEP are matching grants, but they will accept cash, donated labor, equipment, or materials as part of the matching grants. So I don't know where the town is. I believe, I don't know if you have a copy of the quotes that she got for the cost of this. I don't know what Rod had one, but I mean, the costs are high. For the flashing and the peeling paint, the sidewalks, the exterior door replacement. I guess council needs to decide what to tell Darlene and how to proceed in getting these repairs done. Do you want her to wait a year? I mean, we are getting complaints from people about the peeling paint and the look of the museum. So I'm not sure how council wants to proceed with that, but Darlene is probably really looking for answers as to how to proceed or not proceed for this year. And other than that, I move my verbal report for information.
Can I just, with Darlene's ask there, perhaps we can get an RFD with all of the information and can come to council and we can make an informed decision when we know the costs and that there is this grant and all of that kind of information in one RFD, and then we know to make a decision on it.
Okay, I'll give these quotes that she got to Brian, and you can do what he needs, and if you need more information, you can just contact Darlene.
Sure. Councillor Martins?
Councillor Tanaka, is it any more than $22,000, that quote?
Yes.
By a lot more?
Sidewalks are quoted as 23, the flashing ranges, and the roof ranges from 28 to 25, doing the whole roof is 72, and again, it's our building.
So another question, unrelated to the cost. Do you know, was it already planned that the hours would be reduced, or are you going to expand the hours for the summer, or is the hours as is?
The hours for this summer are 9 to 4:30, Monday to Friday for the summer. You're welcome.
Councillor Stanos?
How long have they been running at 3 days a week? At reduced hours?
I believe since COVID, when once COVID restrictions were lifted, they went to 3 days a week because it was still, in case there was the issue of them having to close again. And even though it's only open 3 days a week, Darlene is working there on the days that it's closed, because that gives her time to deal with ascensioning, cleaning, moving, setting up the new displays, working on displays, that kind of stuff.
And so when will these summer hours take effect?
Do you remember which day she said? I just wrote the hours down, Chris.
Was somewhere toward late June when, excuse me, somewhere toward late June when the Gordon girl got off school.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because she's in grade
probably
11.
July and August would be the summer hours, because kids are in school till end of June.
Okay, no other questions for Councillor Danaka?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Councillor Danaka.
I'm just wondering, do they have a sustainability plan, or even just, like, some museums I know charge minimal. Some museums have a receptacle for people to put donations in. Do they have any of that?
There is a donation kettle there for people to donate. A sustainability plan, I mean, we have a strategic plan moving forward that was just signed off on the last meeting. And I believe the town has a, what was it, a plan? I can't remember what it was called. Mind you, it's very dated, of the museum and,
The other town buildings.
yes, thank you. The town has a copy of that, but that's like pretty dated.
Okay,
One more time.
all in favor? Carried. Councillor Dunn?
So I have been at all the hiring proceedings and council meetings, but I have met as well with the people responsible for each of the cemeteries. I should say I met, I've talked with all the people, I've met with the Anglican church people. They, just so you know, they're a little concerned about, did they come and talk to you? No.
I heard.
They're a little concerned about the way the grass was mowed and the clumps that were left and stuff there. You know, maybe we could do raking or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna cost us, but, and then, yeah, the cleanup part of it, around where the headstones are and stuff, because you know, we can't get in there with the machines and stuff like that. I started, and I just need to know if there's a lawnmower I can use here from you guys, because I'm using my own, and it's a lot of wear and tear, so.
But I don't think you'd be covered under the town's insurance by running our equipment.
Okay.
If we lend our equipment out, it's supposed to come with an operator, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
sorry.
No.
I believe they did get the lawnmower though, that they had ordered to cut them, so.
Okay. So they got a smaller lawnmower so they can do around the group six now? Okay.
Okay, Councillor Stanos?
So I'm confused, I thought we put a stop to cutting that. Are we still cutting
Yeah.
the cemeteries? So when they sell their plots, and they pass around their, I don't even know what it's called. Collection plate. Where does this money go? They sell cemetery plots, they collect on Sundays, and yet we're still picking up the tab for cutting their grass.
So what they collect on Sundays often goes to pay for their leader, whoever, pastor, priest. And I can guarantee you, they don't get paid well. But they also have upkeep of their buildings, same as everywhere else. And unfortunately, because if you go out to the Anglican cemetery and you walk through it, you'll see they've invested those cement pads and stuff that they put in. That didn't come from us for the Anglican. They did that all themselves. They've invested huge amounts of money to make their cemetery look really good.
That's the key word, their cemetery.
Yeah.
Their cemetery, but yet the taxpayers are paying to cut the grass and the upkeep on it, on all of the
Because-
cemeteries.
Yeah. Because we all have family that are there or friends that are, and eventually we're gonna be there. Pay your taxes prior to. You can create an issue for it. We've cut back. How much have we cut back? Other than the fact that we bought a lawnmower to do that. We've cut back on the amount that it was costing us by going from somebody who, and he does an incredible job. He's a, professional, but you pay him like a professional. And so now we have students that are doing it.
I thought we got rid of that. I thought we stopped that, that we were only looking after the one.
No,
We
that
lowered the
was,
costs
yeah.
because of.
What's that?
I said we were able to lower the costs because the contract to clean it, we said no to, but they were able to bring the costs down, and we said yes for this past year, that we would continue, but using summer students to do it.
That was the proposal. What was the motion that was made? That was made here. So.
Councilor Martins?
So I remember the conversation, the discussion was we even talked about a transition, maybe give them $500. Is this year a transition then? And then next year it's going to nothing, or?
I think that's gonna be ongoing conversation, and we may need to talk to them about what exactly what Councillor Stenhouse is talking about. Okay, so how much can you afford? Because that's one of the things they've talked about is they are an aging population, but if they, if we can come up with something that's reasonable, they're willing to meet us in that, right? In giving a donation to the town, or giving, so much that can be met to cover the cost of that. So, we've been doing it for how long?
Years.
Yeah, many years. And so it's going to take some transitioning, some communication, and like I said, people that are willing to just go out there and do it. And that's one of the things, is finding people that are willing to volunteer to do it and not worry about possible liability, right? So, because I know there are community members that do the Orthodox, and I was just out on yesterday doing the Anglican, and so it's, it's just having that in the community, and It's like pulling.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Do you want to move your report?
Oh, sorry. No, I just want to sit here.
Yeah.
I'll
And
make
the
a
puck
mo-
drops in 10 minutes.
I'll make a motion that the council receive my verbal report for information.
All right, last chance for any questions or comments for Councillor Dunn? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Martins?
I have no report.
Okay, thank you. So my report is, there was a, sort of from the latest ones, I had an ANCA report, or a meeting today, basically to pick the strategic planning consultant that would be working with ANCA to identify the key issues that that group wanted to focus on. So they've picked that consultant, and we'll be getting going on that when they can. Met with the High Prairie Filipino Association, and they just wanted to meet because they have a new president, wanted to meet, and basically said that have been very active during COVID, but are now looking at starting up and getting their community more involved and creating some opportunities for that community. They've been feeling a little isolated, was her comments. We had a Heart River Board meeting, and I believe Lindsay, the CAO, is going to be here first week in June, is it? Or is it the second meeting in June? First one, okay. I think it was the first one, but, so he'll be here, you'll have a chance to ask him directly. There was a lot of focus on the strategic plan for Heart River Housing at the last meeting, but they did do an update on Pleasant View Lodge is proceeding. They're at the drywall stage, so that's starting to move along a little bit quicker. Still looking at the August 1st turnover date on that. The Fox Creek expansion building there is moving along also. They're going and going quite well. They're working on getting things in order for the lodge in Falher, trying to get a lot of pieces just ready and lined up, and talking with the government on that. So that was our housing. Was at the gun show on Saturday. And it was quite busy. I worked the Saturday shift from 9 to 1. Lots of guns coming out. Holy man, it was surprising how many. They were a lot of guns being sold during that time frame. I'm not sure how it went afterwards. And just had the sort of the newest one was today. Just had a call from Tulco and regarding their fire and everything, and their president and some of their top people are coming down to talk to all of the employees on Friday, and they asked if our council had any questions for them, and if we can send 1 or 2 people to the meeting if we wanted to, but sort of come in with any questions if we do have any. And I said I'd get back to her if we had questions, and if 1 or 2 people wanted to go, we could. So that's the latest one, so we can maybe just see if there was specific questions. I know I can give you the update that she gave me is basically that, the good news is nobody was seriously hurt. There was one person burnt a bit, but everybody got out, everybody was safe, and the fire's out, so that's good. Bad news is there was quite a bit of damage to some equipment that's hard to get parts for, very, very specialized press and all of that kind of stuff. So they had occupational health and safety in to make sure it was safe to go into the building and start doing some stuff in there. They're bringing the people with the press in to see if they can fix that. There's a ton of questions out there that they don't have answers to at this point. So they don't know what's going to happen at this point. They're hoping and optimistic that they can get it up and open again, but they don't know was where they were at this point. Until they get more information and can make an informed decision, they're still just trying to gather information. Councillor Stenos?
So how is this impacting our community? Are people out of work?
Well, right now they are, yes. Yeah, and how can they use existing staff for, you know, the repairs and maintenance and what can they do? So, yeah,
So it's shut down?
yes,
The whole plant is shut down?
yes.
Do we know about how many people are out of jobs because of this?
I did not ask, I don't know the answer, but it's a fair number of people, absolutely. No more questions?
No,
Okay,
not yet.
Councillor Morgans?
I suppose you took my question, because my question was, you know, number one was downtime, and you've answered that, they don't know. Number two was how many employees are affected, you don't know the number, and that was your question. Number three, I guess, they may not know it until after they've had a chance to analyze, but were there any learnings from this, like something you can not fail-safe approaches, something, you might not know this, obviously.
Well, they're doing a whole bunch of asking questions and doing some diligence on what happened and why, and were there enough inspections done, and there's insurance involved, and they're asking questions of was all the due diligence being done. We don't know that, but they are looking at those questions. Apparently it was a high pressure line that blew oil onto the press, which was hot, which started the fire. So you have an oil fire going. They did all the right things. Once it burnt, everybody, you know, took the appropriate actions. You know, was there something, they weren't sure about the preventive maintenance side of things. Was there something more? I mean, obviously, they would love to have fixed that hose, or if they knew it was a problem, I don't know.
So this thing on Friday, is that an informational thing, or is that to ask questions?
It is, they're bringing in all of their staff, and they're going to be sharing some information, and I don't know if it's a Q&A, but she did say that if we had specific questions that we could ask them. And I'm sure the employees are gonna have questions too, right? Like that's the intent of this meeting, is to inform the employees of what's moving on and moving ahead, to make sure that they're all in the loop. And so that's where we're at, is, yeah,
When and where and is this thing on Friday?
They're having 2 information sessions. They're holding them at the golf course, because that's where they're gonna hold it, but it's not big enough to hold all of their staff, so they're gonna do one at 9 and one at 10:30.
Do we have to pre-register, or to just show up?
No, they don't want all of council necessarily there. They just said you can send 1 or 2 and ask. Well, I wouldn't mind going and seeing what was happening there, yep. So.
I guess my question, just to finish off, is are there supports in place for the staff that you may not know
I
about?
don't know that,
Right. It's vitally important that you go, whether or not we come up with a question or not. I think it's important that you're there. probably at both meetings, just so people can see that the mayor cares and is getting updated along with everybody else. And there's 174 employees there.
No. There we go, 174.
So 174 people out of work.
Yep.
And I'm sure some of them are able to keep working, but not all of them, that's for sure. And as they go to rebuilding and getting this thing started up again, they'll be needing some people for that and some specialty people, I'm sure. Okay, so I've heard some questions here that people want to know is, and so supports for workers. We know there's 174, and I'm sure the question's gonna be, how long is it gonna be down for, right? Hopefully they'll have an answer by Friday. They didn't have an answer today.
What time is this at? What did you say?
It's, there's two events, 9:30 and
You said
10,
9 and
or sorry,
10:30.
9 and 10:30.
Okay.
Councillor Shishin.
Well, hopefully there might be some, once they find out a little bit more information, too, for how long it's gonna be down, hopefully they may think of some things of, moving people around. There's the mill in Slave Lake, not for all positions granted, but, hopefully there'll be some suggestions there with that and opportunities, hopefully, for some there, and like you say, some will remain working, so. That's hopefully there's a little bit of positive somewhere there for that.
Yeah. Councillor Dunn?
Is it possible that insurance might cover wages for a short term?
I have no idea, but it's a question, I'm sure.
I think a lot of the questions that we're asking here is gonna be a lot of the same questions that the employees themselves are gonna be asking.
Yeah.
They have to stay open.
Oh, it would be a horrendous blow
Yeah.
for our community, horrendous. We know it's been great having them up and running for the
Right.
past 5 years. We can't afford to see them shut down for too long. All right, is there anybody else that wants to go?
I'm interested,
Oh, I see
whatever we can draw straws.
Well, there's 2 sessions.
Yeah.
That's 4.
Yeah, we could do that. One at 9 and one at 10:30 and go from there. Does that work?
Okay, I'll go to the one at 10:30.
Okay.
Well, of course. How come?
So we got 9 o'clock and 10:30?
Yeah.
Plug in your alarm clock.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
okay. Can you send me a
Yeah, I was
reminder?
planning on it.
So it's this Friday at the golf course?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, any other questions on my report? Comments?
Yeah, why is Lindsay coming? Just to
He-
give us an update on all what's going on?
He
in our
likes,
town?
yeah, he's been to most of the 11 councils to do a report on what's happening at Heart River Housing, a quick Heart River Housing 101, what they do, what's happening with them right now. And like I said, we talked about what the government is doing, the province, and the changes that they want to see coming in. So where they want to sell those or give those units to you, and then they have to look after them. So there's all those things that are going on, and he's been going to all of the other 11 communities and doing an update to their councils, and he's coming to ours.
Very good.
Okay, seeing none, I move my report for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on, Councillor Stenhouse,
No report?
Councillor Wakel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. don't have a huge report. Went to the gun show, well attended, spoken to Darrell Sarb there, said their attendance is pretty much maybe a little below what it was prior to COVID, but to be expected. They're quite happy with the outcome. They're happy to see everybody there, including us. The Rural Renewal Community Committee there met last week. Deanna Bizarre was there. Brett Hawkins from the county was there. Several businesses were there. There's a lot more businesses that wanted to be there that couldn't be there, just because, well, they're short-staffed, right? So everybody's, it's sort of the whole point between that. Talked about the program, what it's going to entail. We're probably, the committee is going to be using the county as the, let's see, where we got it here. The county is going to be the applicant through the Economic Development Office, because we don't have an Economic Development Office here. So we're hoping that we can get the county to take that on. It's really, there's no manpower hours, really. It's, you know, we'll even type the letter up here, just put a stamp on it for us, kind of thing. The employers that were there are excited for this program. It's not just, it's not just for refugees out of Ukraine. This is for anybody who wants to come here. I know you mentioned the Filipino community wants to get their social activities running again, and I know for a long time they've had a very strong community here in High Prairie, and you know, that would be somewhere that we could possibly get some more people from. And really just went over what the program entails and what it's not really going to cost the town anything. It's just going to be some manpower on the part of the people who are interested in having this happen. So, and they will be looking for a motion from us at our next meeting. They'll need one from the county as well, that we will be making a joint submission between the town and the county to put some weight behind it and get this rocking and rolling. And that's all that I have this week, other than all that stuff that we've all been to. So I move my report for information.
Questions, comments? I'm curious, when do they hope to have an application submitted by? After the next meeting, when they get that motion?
Yeah, that's,
So shortly.
yeah, the application is being filled out, and when that'll be filled out, get both councils to make the motion, and then after that, it's just a matter of firing it off. So yeah, within
A couple of weeks.
a few weeks here, yeah.
Good, that's really good. All right, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Yashishin.
Besides the regular and special council meetings, I attended the same. And I also attended the gun show booth on Saturday, and from 9 to 5. So I was there for the day, and as Mayor indicated, there was lots of people coming through. It got quite busy in the afternoon, so it was good to see. And good to see people out and about, and once again, finally. And also I have the responses. It was in my mailbox. I had a look at it, so I'll pass it around for, that was the questionnaire that we had at the booth. And that was it. I moved my, that we had to receive my verbal report for information, unless there's questions.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
So, what did you find out at the AHS meeting, the community health meeting?
I wasn't at that one. I couldn't attend that one. I was called out of town.
Oh,
Do we have an alternate for that committee? I'm sure we probably
I'm
do.
not
We
sure
should.
without looking.
I know that committee isn't, it's been quite a while since they've met because of COVID and,
It was delayed for quite some time, yeah.
yeah. Oh, I can see Councillor Danak is looking at them.
I'm
I
looking.
got one here too. But if there is, if you're not able to make meetings, check with your alternate. to see
Councilor
if you-
Martins, High Prairie District Community Health Foundation, is that the one?
Yeah, I believe so. Is that the CH, yeah, on there? Or It's abbreviated.
District Community and Health Foundation, oh no.
Oh,
Community-
sorry, maybe I'm wrong.
Community Partnership, that one.
No, this would be the Community Health and Wellness one, the Community Partnership Team, CHCW.
That's the clinic one then?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, there's kind of two similar.
Yes, yes, oh no, Councillor
Dunn.
Dunn is on that one, you're the alternate on the foundation one.
Yeah, I was asking about the next meeting there, I
Yeah.
didn't hear anything.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Martin?
You know, not to, you bring up a good point. First of all, HS is important, but if there is a protocol to either letting the CAO know or letting the alternate know, that would be.
Yes, if you're not able to make your meetings, make sure you'll let your
Especially that
alternate
one,
know.
that one's a high profile
Yes. yeah.
committee.
Best you can. Okay, no other, all right, all in favor? Carry it. And that meeting is adjourned. We'll take a break and then we can do, we'll have to change from our decision-making yet to our information and creative hats for a meeting of the whole.
Dog park, dog park.
Our cow.
And
I know, this